The closure of some European borders in a bid to control the spread of COVID-19 has raised concerns over the impact on the Schengen area.
Schengen is named after a village so small that most people who use the word have never heard of the place. Schengen sits in the far southeastern corner of Luxembourg, on the west bank of the Moselle River. The village itself had 679 residents in 2024. Not 1,000, 679. It makes wine, and it sits right beside the tri-point where Luxembourg, Germany, and France meet. That location is the entire reason it was chosen. The commune was not even called Schengen until 2006, when the local authority renamed itself from Remmerschen to take advantage of a name the whole world suddenly recognized. And what that name now describes is enormous. The Schengen area covers 29 countries, roughly 4.6 million square kilometers, and more than 450 million people who can cross most of those borders without ever showing a passport. It is a place you can drive to, with a mayor and a wine festival, one small wine village, and one of the largest zones of free movement ever created. The Schengen Agreement was signed on a boat, which is a detail almost nobody knows. On the 14th of June 1985, 5 countries put their names to it aboard a cruise vessel called the Princess Marie Astrid, moored on the Moselle. Here is the part that says everything about how minor this looked. No presidents came, no prime ministers came. Each country sent a junior minister. Catherine Lalunière for France, Robert Goebbels for Luxembourg, Paul de Keersmacher for Belgium, Waldemar Schreckenberger for West Germany, and Wim van Ekelen for the Netherlands. It was a side deal, arranged outside the official European structures, because getting all 10 member states to agree was impossible. The boat itself was sold to Germany in 1992 and spent nearly 30 years working the Danube under a different name. It was later brought back, restored, and installed at the museum in Schengen, where the signing room has been recreated inside it. Robert Goebbels, the Luxembourg signatory, passed away in January 2026 at the age of 81. Schengen took 10 full years to actually start working, and part of what pushed leaders towards it was a traffic jam. In February 1984, French lorry drivers protesting delays caused by a customs officer's go-slow blockaded motorways with an estimated 3,000 vehicles across 17 French departments, stranding around 1 million tourists near the Alpine borders. 5 months later, France and West Germany signed the Saarbrücken Agreement to start removing checks between them. Schengen followed in 1985, but a signed agreement is not a working system. The detailed rules only arrived with a second document in 1990, which covered shared databases, common visa rules, and police cooperation. The rules formally entered into force in 1993 and were finally applied in practice on the 26th of March 1995. Schengen was folded into European Union law by the Treaty of Amsterdam in 1999. The United Kingdom and Ireland negotiated opt-outs at that point and stayed outside. Schengen is not the European Union, and mixing the two up is the single most common mistake people make. They are separate systems with separate members. Ireland is in the European Union, but chose to stay outside Schengen so it could keep its long-standing open travel arrangement with the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, Norway, Iceland, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein are all inside Schengen, and none of them are European Union members. The euro is a third thing again, a separate currency union with its own list. And Schengen never actually promised there would be no checks anywhere ever. Police checks inside border regions have always been legal, and countries have always been allowed to bring back proper controls temporarily. One more thing if you are traveling. A Schengen visa lets you stay 90 days within any 180-day period for tourism or business, and it will not get you into the United Kingdom or Ireland. Greenland and the Faroe Islands sit outside the zone as well, and Monaco is effectively inside it because France runs its border checks. Schengen has kept adding countries the whole time, right up to last year. It started with 7 in 1995, once Spain and Portugal came in alongside the original 5. Italy lifted its internal checks in 1997. Denmark, Finland, and Sweden joined in 2001, bringing non-members Iceland and Norway with them through an older Nordic arrangement. In December 2007, 9 more countries joined for land and sea travel, with airports following in March 2008. Switzerland came in during 2008 and Liechtenstein in 2011. Croatia joined in 2023. And on the 1st of January 2025, Bulgaria and Romania finally became full members. The European Commission said both were technically ready back in 2011, with Austria the last to drop its objection in late 2024. Cyprus is now the only European Union country still waiting. It connected to the shared Schengen database back in 2023 and received a positive assessment in July 2026. Schengen has been switched off before. In April 2011, after thousands of people arrived in Italy from Tunisia and were issued temporary permits, France simply blocked trains at the Ventimiglia crossing to stop them traveling onwards. Italy publicly called it a clear violation of European principles. Then came 2015, when around -16.3 million people sought asylum across Europe. Hungary built a razor-wire fence, roughly 175 kilometers long, along its border with Serbia. 9 countries brought back internal checks. In January 2016, Sweden started demanding photo identification from everyone arriving from Denmark, the first such requirement in about 50 years. The checks added about half an hour to the journey, and transport companies were fined for carrying. Sweden dropped them again in 2017. And then in 2020, the whole thing effectively paused. By the end of March that year, 16 European Union countries had reintroduced internal border controls at once. Around 10 countries inside Schengen are running border checks right now in 2026. Germany is the largest. It has had checks with Austria since 2015, added more in 2023, and in September 2024 extended controls to all 9 of its land borders at once. And the German government has linked the policy to asylum applications falling roughly 34% in 2024. Poland responded in July 2025 by introducing its own checks on the German and Lithuanian borders. Austria, Denmark, France, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Slovenia, and Sweden have all had controls in place too. In April 2022, the European Court of Justice ruled that a country cannot keep internal checks going beyond 6 months for the same reason. Then, in 2024, the rules themselves were rewritten to allow exceptional cases to run up to 2 years. Schengen is changing faster than most travelers realize, and the biggest change already happened. On the 10th of April 2026, the entry-exit system became fully operational. Passport stamps are being replaced with digital records, including a facial image and fingerprints for visitors from outside the European Union. It is both stronger and shakier than the headlines suggest. Around -16.7 million people still cross an internal European border for work every single day. European Parliament researchers have estimated that unwinding it could cost tens of billions of euros a year. It began on a boat in a village of a few hundred people, and 41 years later, nobody has quite worked out how to replace it.